Started then, I think. So welcome everyone. It's a beautiful day where I am, at least in East Coast Bays. Hopefully it is where you are too. Perhaps you've already had some of your freedom, gone out and joined a burger fuel queue or whatever it is that you've done to celebrate being in level 3. Hopefully kept in your bubble, kept safe, and we're still in all of this together. So I'd like to first introduce Greg Harford of Retail NZ. Greg.
Thank you very much, and thanks for organising this. It's really great to be able to discuss some of the issues facing the sector, and more importantly, how we can all navigate out of it, perhaps. You know, it's fair to say that what we're seeing at Retail NZ is quite a bit of doom and gloom around the retail sector over the last few weeks. We're estimating that total sales across the sector have been down by probably 80%. Most of what's been happening, of course, has been very much in the food and grocery space, and there's been very little else happening. There've been a few businesses that have jumped in to try and sell so-called essential goods online, but from what we've heard, those sales have been pretty glacial. Customers have not really been out there doing terribly much shopping, although they have, certainly some have been, but mostly the message I've been getting is that online sales over the last 4 weeks have kind of helped businesses tick over. So while it's good news that businesses are allowed to open this week and that online trading is now available for all businesses to take part in, we are expecting to see a massive surge, but it's still not going to come anything close to the kinds of sales that we would see in a normal world where customers are able to get out and about and hit the shops. That said, we are hearing that there's quite a surge in e-commerce. So e-commerce, from what I'm hearing anecdotally, is running at sort of 300–400% of what businesses would normally be trading at in a pre-COVID world. So there's clearly enormous appetite for online and for e-commerce. And the question, I think, for many businesses is how do they maximise those opportunities? It's particularly important for those businesses that aren't already online to be thinking about what they might want to do. We think about a quarter of retailers don't have a digital presence at the moment. Some of those will be cafes and takeaway bars where normally we wouldn't have expected them to have that presence. But there's a significant number of more traditional bricks and mortar retailers who still need to make the migration to online and to look at the opportunities that are there for them. So yeah, great initiative to have this running, and I'll be really interested to see the content of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Greg. So we'll get straight into it. First up is David Kelly and Jarra Borman of Zeald.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody, and thanks for that great introduction, Andrew, and also Greg, for some context there around what we're seeing in the retail environment. So a little bit about our presentation today is how to rapidly get transacting online. So it fits really nicely with that introduction. We want to kind of show you through some steps on how you can get online really, really quickly and what sort of things you need to consider as part of that process. So my name is Jarra Borman. I'm the Agency General Manager at Zeald, and I've got the pleasure of speaking today, presenting today with Zeald Chairman and Founder David Kelly. And so going to actually hand over to him to just start running through the presentation. And yeah, hope you enjoy what we've got for you today. If David's still there, he's on mute. Are you there, David?
Yeah, just made the classic mistake, didn't I?
Hello,
everybody. Okay, so thank you, Jarra, for that. Now that we've got our act together. So the world as we all knew it ended in March 2020. I mean, it was an incredible sort of event that occurred, a massive crisis. And so while we appear to have COVID-19 under control right now, things could sort of change in a heartbeat, really. And I think one of the things that has become very apparent is only those businesses that radically transform themselves digitally are going to survive. And we really believe as an organisation that New Zealand needs a digital revolution. So that's what we're very committed to. The future is contactless commerce. So we're going to talk a bit about that in this presentation here. So one of the most important things to understand really at this point is speed of change is absolutely everything. You can't afford as a retailer to wait and see what happens. You've got to act now. So one of the things that Greg was just talking about is the explosion of e-commerce. And so it's very interesting. Baby boomers are actually the fastest growing demographic for online shopping at the moment. And a lot of people are sort of aware that e-commerce has gone crazy. But one of the things that's quite interesting is that prior to even alert level 4 or lockdown, e-commerce was already going crazy. And it's continued to obviously go to another level again. So e-commerce is now the...
One of my clients, actually, King Seed. Sorry if you don't mind me jumping in, David. It's actually one of my clients, and they were able to operate during lockdown, and things went so crazy for them in terms of orders. We actually had to shut down their site for a few days to let them catch up on orders. They set record after record for the number of sales per day, to the point where their staff just couldn't even keep up. And so, just thought that was a really good example.
Yeah, so whilst you've, we hear a lot about the businesses that are really struggling and so on, there is a group of businesses that are almost experiencing the opposite problem, and the supermarkets are the obvious one, but they're by far not the only ones. And so really going forward, e-commerce as of right now is now the primary way products are sold. With it going to level 3, there's a little bit of a change in that area, but in some cases they're really the only way that products can be sold. So one of the key things to understand is the time to get online is now. An online sales channel will allow you to operate effectively across the alert levels. And I think it's really important that there's a level of optimism that we're on the up and up, and from here it's sort of smooth sailing. But I think as retailers and as organisations, we've got to be prepared for those alert levels to go up and down over the next 6 months. I think it's wildly optimistic to think that we're going to just sort of go down, 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 and everything will go very smoothly from this point forward.
Yeah, that's especially I think over the last last day or so, actually seeing how people have responded to alert level 3 has actually shocked me. People are not really keeping their bubbles intact anymore and waiting in line for McDonald's and things like that without any social distancing. Doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to keep that virus under control. So yeah, having some contingency planning in place is really, really important if alert levels do go up and down again in the future. So when you're looking to get online, one of the first things you need to do is actually pick the right technology. And so the right technology is, or the content management system, or CMS, is often the first decision that you're going to need to make when it comes to getting online. Now, Zeald is actually what we call platform agnostic, which means that we work across all of the leading e-commerce technology. So here's a list of all the ones that pretty much cover most of the market. So there's a lot of other ones there, but they tend to make up the margins, I suppose is the best way to say it. So you've got Magento, which is a big e-commerce system. Shopify, which is excellent. You've got Squarespace, which in the last couple of years has added e-commerce components to it. You've got WooCommerce, which is based on the WordPress platform. And then you've got our Zeald content management system that we've been developing for the last 20 years as well, which is one of the most popular e-commerce systems in New Zealand. So when you're going to make a decision around the content management system that's right for you, you've got to look at a number of different factors. And I've tried to list here the most common things that you need to consider. So first, cost. Obviously, cost is very, very important. The cost structure, both for the setup and the ongoing and the transactions, all need to fit within your business model and your margins. The speed of setup and deployment is absolutely critical. If I was to critically look at these different options that I could provide for you, Magento is not something that you could set up quickly. It is a beast of a system. You're going to take probably 3 to 4 months to get something like that set up and tuned effectively. It has a lot of configuration options, and so it does take a fair amount of time. Most of the other ones can be set up and deployed much more quickly. Then you've got to look at what is the functionality that your business requires. What are the add-ons? What are the custom features that make your business unique, that you need to reflect in an online e-commerce store? It's essentially how you provide that extra level of value and service to your customers. There'll be a lot of things that you do in your retail environment that you'll like to project through into that online space. And so understanding what that functionality looks like, is it repeat ordering? Is it recurring ordering? Is it a number of things like that? What do they look like? What does that feature set look like? And how does that then translate into one of these systems? For example, with Shopify, if you're looking at a base build with Shopify, it's very cost effective. However, if you start to add extra functionality on it, all of the add-ons come with monthly costs. And so the price there can really jump up quite quickly. So while it's an excellent platform, if you're trying to do anything a little unusual or trying to do anything a bit more advanced, the prices do tend to come up very quickly on that particular platform. Then you need to look at the onboarding and support, right? So a lot of these platforms are self-service, like Squarespace. So if you were, in a lot of cases, if you were able to set up your own website and be able to handle a self-service environment, you probably would have already done it. And so you probably want to look for a platform or a firm or agency that can actually support you with that onboarding process and guide you through the steps that you need to get online. And we're actually going to talk through a lot of those steps today to give you an idea of what are the obstacles that you have in front of you to getting online in this space. And then you need to look at, are there some templates that will help you with that speed of deployment? So something that's maybe specific to New Zealand that's going to help your website look great and get you online very quickly without having to do some sort of custom design that meets the New Zealand market. And then, do any of these systems have a centralized code base? Now, this may sound quite geeky and technical, but it's actually really important. If someone's deploying lots of these websites at scale and looking to do hundreds of them, which Zeald does, you need to make sure that whatever system that you're going onto has a code base that can be maintained in mass. Something like WooCommerce and WordPress, for example, is an open source piece of software which you can deploy very quickly, but it also can't be updated en masse. And so if you're looking to pick a website platform, you want to pick something that can be maintained really easily and that the agency can look after at scale. And so that really comes down to that last piece, because if you're looking at a website platform, you need to be really cognizant that there is a security and maintenance component to all of these platforms, and some of them are maintained by the developer of the platform, and some of them require your investment in time to keep them updated and maintained. And if you don't do so, you're going to end up with quite a few bugs and quite a few security issues. For example, WordPress and WooCommerce, which is one of the most common platforms out there. We do a lot of these sort of sites, but they do require a lot of additional work on that. Sorry, so it's grabbed my screen. Just a sec here, let's go back to present. There we go. And so, so let me just get back to where I was. So so you need to be very, very careful about what your selection of content management system is, and just be aware of all of these different components in your decision-making process. If you're really unsure, then Zeald does provide websites on all of these different solutions, and we do have the opportunity to meet with maybe one of our strategy team just to understand your requirements and make sure that you've got the right selection at this point in time. So once you've got that selection made, then you need to set up, obviously get set up on the content management system that you've chosen. You need to make sure that your homepage has a pitch to your customers about why they should use you. It's really critical here that when people arrive on your website for the first time, they understand why they should use you. Often that for someone to get to your website, they know what you do. They've already kind of made that decision, or they wouldn't have found you. But now you've got to give them that critical piece of information about why they should choose you over other people. And so that's just my one key tip there when setting up an e-commerce site. That homepage needs to answer that why question. All right. To do that, you do need to understand exactly who you're targeting with the website, right? So where possible, focus on potentially your local customers, because your local community needs you, and you may be able to do some local deliveries to help support them. We've got a lot of cafes and restaurants that are coming on board with this specifically in mind. And if you normally sell in a business-to-business environment, it is possible to do this through an e-commerce site and then add a direct-to-consumer component as well. And so a lot of e-commerce systems will allow you to operate at both of those levels. And so that would be one of those functionality requirements I talked about in the last slide. So once you've done that, you've got your homepage set up, you've actually got quite a big job still to go, and that is getting all your products in there. Content loading is actually where we see most websites really get stuck, right? Getting the website designed and deployed is just the starting point. Then you've got to make sure all your products are there. So our tip here is to kind of start with the first 25 products. These will be your top sellers, the most important ones that you're prepared to sell online, and just focus on those essentials that you want to get selling. And if you're working with us, then we've got some options to actually help you get those first 25 loaded. Just to give you a guide of what sort of minimum requirements you need for each product, you need a name for it, right? You're going to need a price, or otherwise you can't sell it. It's pretty obvious, but images is actually where a lot of people fall down, is getting some images of the products that you want to sell, and then getting a description. Once you've got those base requirements per product, you can actually get them loaded pretty quickly, especially if you've got an agency to help. So our expert tip here is that getting started is actually really quite difficult. So make sure you choose a vendor that provides robust onboarding support to help you get over those initial hurdles and get your site live, because as we've mentioned before, speed really is everything, and trying to do it all yourself can be pretty tricky. So I'll hand over to David. I think I might have had a question there. Someone agree? Oh, no, it's just, sweet, that's just a comment from Andrew, sorry.
Okay, so let's carry on. We're now talking about the order and checkout process. So obviously one of the key things, if you're going to transact online, you've got to allow people to order and check out online. So for this, we need two key things you've got to be aware of and that you've got to get in place. Firstly, you need payment gateways. So there's a whole range of payment gateways. This is just some of them here: Stripe, PayPal, direct payment systems, account to account. But you need a payment gateway in order to transact online and in order to allow people to pay by credit card and things like that. You can offer bank transfer or direct credit. That's another key thing, but has its challenges. And obviously you can take cash on delivery, although that's not recommended in level 3 because it involves a level of contact, right? So you've also got to think about your delivery options. And so you've got the click and collect, and then you've got in-house local delivery. So many organizations are starting to look at how can they actually look to do local delivery. How can they involve some staff members to just do some type of local delivery within their immediate local community, within a few blocks or a suburb or something like this. Click and collect doesn't have to be extremely complicated. There can be very, very simple systems for click and collect that smaller retailers and organizations can do. They can be reasonably manual. You can have a system where people are able to arrive at your premises and essentially just phone a number, and then you bring out the stuff to them and leave it actually at a particular sort of pickup point outside the organisation. Delivery partners are often very important, so you've got all your common delivery partners that you've got to think about, and then you've got dispatch systems like eShip, StarShipIt, Go Sweet Spot, and so on. And so what these systems allow you to do is keep your customers notified as to how the dispatch process is proceeding, so that they actually understand where things are at. So those are all the things that you've got to think about with the whole order and checkout process. So one of the key tips here, expert tip from us, is think local. Courier companies are going to be run off their feet. They already are in many ways and in many different areas. And so you need to consider how you can deliver yourself to your local market. As I've already said, many firms are already repurposing staff from the floor to actually assist with local delivery. And so often it doesn't take a huge amount of reworking things to come up with a simple system whereby you can actually be providing that delivery service within your local market. Okay, so the next thing is the whole packing and delivery process. So you must be following all government mandated or industry mandated guidelines at all times. You need to be thinking about how can you minimize COVID-19 risks. All orders need to be packed by staff that are practicing high levels of hygiene. Things like gloves, masks, other type of sort of safety equipment are very, very important that you're sort of aware of with that packing and delivery process. And you've got to remember at all times, contactless commerce is the goal, along with reduced contact dispatch. So however you can sort of minimize that contact, minimize that interaction, so that ultimately you're minimizing COVID-19 risk. And then you've got your fulfillment process. So the fulfillment process, I mean, one of the key things is you want to provide a defined pickup point at the front of your premises, or set up a process whereby someone calls and advises that they are outside and ready to collect their order. Then you can have a staff member drop the order outside for the person to exit their vehicle and collect. What we've found with so many of our customers is they think click and collect and they think too elaborate. They think supermarket level, like some of the most sophisticated click and collect systems that are already out there, and they sort of feel that unless they're at that point, they can't really do click and collect. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Simple is fine. Simple, in fact, can be incredibly effective, and we've already got customers who that's what they're doing. They've got a simple click and collect process in place, and it's working well. And then finally, we've talked about this, but consider providing local deliveries that drop items at the door or just inside the gate of your customers. Don't get your customers to sign for their order to confirm delivery. If you want to confirm delivery, then consider taking a photo. So just simple things.
Cool. And so now we'll just do a quick overview of Zeald. So we're New Zealand's largest website agency for SMEs. We've helped over 15,000 businesses actually achieve digital transformation over the last 20 years. So we've been doing this for a while, and we like to think we're pretty good at it. And we also have a very clear and pretty phenomenal offer for businesses in New Zealand with our Get eCommerce movement. So what we did is we evaluated all of the different technology we have available, and we've looked to see how we can deploy these at scale for as low a cost, in fact, pretty much free, for as many businesses as possible. So on March 30th, we launched our Get eCommerce movement. Now, this is designed to give away 500 fully functional e-commerce websites. Deployment day of 2 working days from the date that we get all of the content that we need, which, to be fair, it does take a little bit longer than that for most businesses, but our side of it, we can deploy the site within 2 working days. To be really clear around what the offer is, there is no setup fee for the website. There is no fixed hosting fee for 12 months. The only cost to the business in that first 12 months is a 2% success fee. So it's essentially de-risking getting online as quickly as possible for New Zealand businesses. And the response to this has been pretty phenomenal. We've actually already lined up packages for a number of different industries, and the retail industry was very close to the top of the list. We've got a couple of templates that have been designed to be able to deploy really, really quickly in this space. So we launched that on the 30th, and what happened next? Well, I'll get David to talk through that.
Okay, so what happened? Well, one of the things we really believe is New Zealand needs a rapid digital revolution, and our initial 500 free e-commerce websites have already been allocated to SMEs in need. So that took about 28 to 30 days. Just over the weekend was when we completed the allocation of those first websites.
We actually had 150 when we were asked to do this, and they've all gone in the short term time that this got turned around.
Absolutely. And what's really abundantly clear to us as an organisation is that far more than 500 sites are needed. In fact, we think the digital revolution that New Zealand needs in the coming 12 to 18 months is really 50,000 plus if you really go and study the need within the New Zealand market. So it's very, very significant. So what we have is we have GEM version 2, essentially the Get eCommerce movement version 2, launching in another 7 to 14 days. I'm forever the optimist, so I'm expecting it to be 7, but somewhere within that zone, within the next 7 to 14 days, we're launching with GEM v2. And so you can reserve your spot now. What you need to do is you go to our website, www.zeald.com, and you can apply for a GEM website. So what we're doing at the moment, we're backlogging those applications. We're processing those applications, and those applications that are approved are then backlogged for GEM v2.
Yeah, so we're supremely confident that we're going to be releasing another quite large batch of GEM websites within the next 7 to 14 days. And so if you want to have one of those, then all you need to do is go to zeald.com and register your interest and secure one of those spots in the next round of websites that get given out. So yeah, this is just to give you an idea of what they look like. These things are not toy e-commerce websites. These are fully functional e-commerce websites with a high degree of design and finish. And this is an example of one here for Robin's Cottage. She was one of the first, she applied, and her site just went live in the last couple of days, and that's just a nice little comment from her about the experience that she had. And so there's just an example of what we're talking about for one of our GEM websites. So I think that's what we wanted to cover today. So we're open for questions if anyone has any. So feel free to send them through. I haven't seen anything come through in chat at the moment. So yeah, just open the floor.
Okay, so in the absence of any written questions, if anyone would like to pose an oral one, you'll obviously need to unmute yourself first. So please feel free to do that. If we get a number all coming on at once, then I'll just ask you to just be patient and take your turn. If there aren't any questions at the moment, I can certainly ask one or two.
I believe we've got a hand raised with Chris. Chris, would you like to say your question?
Yes, thanks very much, David. Once you've got your site created, in terms of, have you got views or methodologies around strategies around driving people to your site?
Yes, we have. I mean, there's I guess that's the whole area of digital marketing. One of the things that we do with a GEM website is we help people get a Google My Business listing. And so that helps people locate where they are. And Jarra, maybe you want to talk to a little bit more to that.
Absolutely. So each of these GEM sites that we provide actually have Google Analytics and a Google My Business loaded, which are two of the first things that you're going to need from a marketing point of view for any e-commerce store. We also have access to an email marketing module, which adds on as well, which allows you to actually craft communications with potential customers, and that's a great way to keep people looped back in. So once you make a sale, you've got a communication channel that's then open for you to be able to drive repeat sales, which is a lot easier than getting new sales. When it comes to creating new sales and the sort of initiatives that you need to conduct there, the websites that we provide have integrations through into the Google Shopping network, which is an incredibly powerful retail tool for selling products. You'll see this when you Google a specific product, and you'll see some images with prices start to appear at the top of the Google search results, where all of our sites have got a full integration into that system. That will require someone a marketing analyst to kind of set it up and probably maintain it for you, but the technology to support that sort of initiative is already there, and so they're kind of ready for, these sites are ready for SEO, they're ready for Google Shopping, and they've got full reporting systems there as well, so you can measure what initiatives are working and then obviously tune accordingly. So the actual number of things that you can do to market an e-commerce site are immense. I probably couldn't cover them all, but I do recommend that most people start with looking at trying to put on Google Shopping, looking at Google Ads if they can, if that's the right fit for them, and then looking at maybe some sponsored campaigns and through social media to drive awareness around the fact that they're open and what sort of products they have available. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a great start. Thank you.
And there's a question from VH Beckett. So after the free trial, what are the ongoing monthly costs?
It's a great question. Do you want me to take that one, David? So, yeah, so after 12 months, the hosting, just our basic hosting is $49 plus GST per month, and then that 2% success fee does continue. We do have a number of other hosting options as well for people. So if they are going very well, and even before they get to the end of the 12 months, it may be more cost effective for them to move to one of our paid hosting packages, like our professional package at $99 a month, which brings the success fee down to just 1%. And so there are options there for people when they finish at the end of 12 months, what level they can go to. If they do find that they're doing very, very well, the numbers may stack up that they might prefer to move to one of the paid hosting plans and reduce the success fee percentage. So that's the sort of thing that we'd guide people on and help them through.
So the success fee percentage actually scales right down depending on what hosting package you go to. So it comes right down to 0.25%.
Yep.
If you're that sort of high volume or higher volume type business.
And there's a question asking whether you can share the slides that you've been presenting as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. The whole recording of the session will be up online, and I think we should be able to make the slides available without a problem. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I suppose there's one other little point probably worth making. I didn't really cover it off, but it does speak to Chris's question as well. So Zeald does have a team of digital business strategists throughout the country, and so if you're unsure as to how to take these next steps, then we do offer a free consultation service, which people are able to take us up on. And so that would just involve a session with one of our strategists to just understand your operation a little bit more, help guide you on the right decisions there, whether or not GEM is the right option for you, or whether maybe one of the other pieces of e-commerce technology is right. And then obviously from there, what sort of things you should be looking at from a marketing point of view as well. We are a Google Premier partner, and so we have the highest accreditation that you can get when it comes to being able to deploy campaigns across the Google advertising networks.
Yeah, my observation with looking at many sort of different SME businesses is getting online and transacting online is very intimidating, I guess, from this side of it. But once you kind of make the start, once you get stuck in, it's not as challenging as you might think. You know, it is challenging, but it's not as impossible, I guess, is probably a better way of putting it, as you might think. And so I think it's really important that for retailers who are at that point and where they're looking at it and they just feel like it's insurmountable, it isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah, and there's some incredible opportunity out there right now with people like, because the other thing you've got to keep in mind is there will be a lot of people out there who, while the restrictions have reduced and they're going to reduce further, hopefully, there's going to be a lot of people that are still not comfortable going out even when those restrictions are lower. And I've seen some interesting surveys in the United States where people have been asked, well, if there were no restrictions and no lockdowns in place, how likely would you be to go out to a restaurant? How likely would you be to go out to an event or get on a plane? And most people are pretty much saying no at like 75 or 80% or higher to those sort of questions. So there's going to be a lot of people that want to stay in their bubble even if they don't have to. And so this is how we can kind of create a commerce environment where you can still transact with those people.
Indeed, good point. Thank you, Jarra. And so just to reiterate, every journey starts with one step. So you don't have to go whole hog at the beginning. And what Zeald is offering with the 25 top products online is a good way to think about the scale that is facing you at the beginning, at least, anyway. So just a reminder, this is being recorded, and we will put the recording up on a Massey site hopefully later today, and we'll send out a message to everyone who has registered that where to find that link. And both Zeald and Acronym may wish to parcel up their part of the presentation and put it on their sites if they wish, and make that known to their people as well. So thank you very much, guys. If there's further questions, feel free to post them. I see one has just come in, but we'll move to Acronym. David and Jarra might wish to answer that question by text, or we'll hold a little bit of time after Acronym to come back for any further questions. So thank you, Zeald, Chris and Anton.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you all here, and thank you to Andrew for organising all of this. And thanks to David and Jarra, you guys did an excellent segue and explanations into technology and e-commerce and websites, key decisions that need to be made, and the factors affecting the operating of retail during COVID-19. Just a little brief information about Acronym. I founded what has become Acronym 24 years ago. We've been operating in the IT space, and we've been building a lot of business applications, including e-commerce websites. Over that time, typically, a lot of the websites we get into are very complex and have a lot of added plug-in functionality to bring the customer into the site and to enrich their experience and or integrate with the B2B world. Once COVID-19 happened, we had a number of our development projects put on hold, and our development team, which is predominantly made up of long-term contractors, sort of went, right, what are we going to do with some of our time? And they initiated an idea, which is what's called homedelivery.kiwi or clickandcollect.kiwi. And it's a slightly different scenario. It's really about how to make it as simple as possible. You don't even need a website to use this functionality, although if you want a website, you can have a website as well. But you could have a scenario where you just, for example, have Facebook and put a link on your Facebook and say, go there, you can buy from us there. And that will be your company name or whatever abbreviation you want, .homedelivery.kiwi or .clickandcollect.kiwi. And that sets you up to just put, just as you do in the Zeald operation, you need to put your products in there. You can put a little bit of information about your business at the beginning, and then away you go. Your products are there for people to sell and buy things and organise either with your home delivery methods or click and collect. You can organise that with them. Now, Anton is one of those developers who originally sat down and came up with the idea and decided, hey, let's do this. So I'm going to pass over to Anton to actually walk you through how it works. And I guess it'll take you a bit further along that journey of, okay, what does it take to put all your products in and how do these things look and feel? So Anton, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. Nice to be invited. Thank you, everybody, for the fantastic presentations and the introduction to e-commerce online. Chris has asked me to join predominantly today and give everybody a quick overview of the platform that Acronym has developed. Effectively, we've developed a platform that is designed to be as simple as possible, to require as little experience as possible, just to get people online and transacting. We were really aiming it at the local business crowd who maybe have absolutely zero online presence, zero technical ability. They're good at what they do, they're good at what they sell, they might be excellent at marketing, but they've had no experience with the digital world. So we've built a quick platform. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what that is. So we've effectively built it primarily on WordPress, which is hosted in Azure, and we've made the login process very, very simple. We've hooked it into Google and Facebook so that people can use their own existing Google accounts or Facebook accounts to log in to their sites. And once they've managed to log into their site, they should have access to everything that they need in order to start getting their products online. As part of our initial setup process, we do offer some onboarding support. We do help people get their products uploaded. We show them how to do it themselves. We also provide them with some online training videos so that they can basically get one of their staff to take over the uploading of new products or existing products once we've started getting them on board. We are using the WooCommerce plugin as previously alluded to by Zeald, and by Jarra, I should say. And once we get people up and running on their website, the first thing we do is go into their product section, and we walk people through this, how they can upload their products. Obviously, imagery is very, very important online, as again alluded to by Jarra. And in here, this is where you would load all your information about your products. You would have different product categories, imagery for your products, often more than one image, your prices, products being on sale, different attributes. For example, if you're selling t-shirts, you would need different sizes, different colors, and we will walk people through how to add these products. And probably get the first, similar to 25 setup. We do offer, I think, an hour of full support that can be split out over several different time periods to help people get up and running and managing the website for themselves, so that we don't have to hold their hand all the way through. They're not waiting for us to import all their products. They might get a new product in, they might want it loaded in 5 minutes, and we want them to be able to do that themselves. Obviously, we are there for support 100%, but we like to empower our clients to be able to do their technological, I suppose, e-commerce site as much under their own steam as they can. Along with the products, once we've got them all loaded in here, we actually show people how to manage their orders. So I've gone to the wrong section here, into WooCommerce. And in here, once people start ordering online, you will start to see orders fly into your orders screen, into your dashboard. And this is where you would manage the progress of those orders. You will also receive an email anytime an order is placed, letting you know you have a new order. And as you're processing these orders, you can jump into each of these orders and change the status. So they could be awaiting payment, they could be processing. And if you do decide to set it to delivery pickup ready, it will email the customer and let them know that their order has been fulfilled and it is ready to collect. We do have Google Analytics, although it's not currently integrated as a standard in our initial offering. It can be added on at a later date. Again, we're focusing on getting on people online as quickly as possible and as simply as possible. But we do have some reporting within WooCommerce, so people can track how their sales are going, what they're selling, and we also provide the ability to export orders for people to do their own analysis on. One of the things that we've implemented into the order section here is the ability to track all the phone numbers against all the orders, which I believe is important for contact tracing on level 3. And that's probably the largest overview of, the best overview I can give at this point of the dashboard. We wanted to keep the dashboard really, really simple. We want the local, in this case, the local butcher shop to be able to get online, start selling products, manage their orders easily and effectively, load their products easily and effectively, and not have to worry too much else about managing their website. We just want them to get on with the business of doing business, basically. In terms of payments, we only offer one option at the moment, and that is credit cards. We are looking at doing online banking as an option. And for those people that do have existing payment gateways, we can implement those. But our current methodology of choice is using Stripe, which doesn't require anybody to have their own merchant banking. And a quick overview of the site. We've kept it really, really clean and simple. We haven't filled it up with too much noise. We have given the stores the ability to have a brief, I suppose, if you like, thank you, a comment section, something to say thank you for supporting your local store in these rather difficult times. But other than a simple contact page and a shop, that's all that's there. The businesses don't need to worry about trying to manage a whole raft of pages, a whole raft of about us. Now, obviously, Acronym can build on these websites. We can scale up these websites to be as large, as complex, as powerful, and as exciting as clients want. But our main focus here on this initial offering is to get people online and get them selling. So, Chris, you wanted to add something there?
Yeah, I was just wanting to add in that if you do have a website and it's just a brochure website at this stage and it's not the right platform for you to build your own e-commerce component, this can be plugged into an existing website, just so that people know that that's the case. And I also realized I did want to share that a little bit of reputation with regards to Acronym as a company. Not only have we been around a long time, but last year, Microsoft recommended us to Spark, and since then we've become one of the Spark partners. So we work regularly with Spark. So for those of you who don't know us, we are well known within the digital space that we typically work in, and we're doing pretty well.
Thank you. Right, there's not, because we've kept this website nice and simple, there's not a huge amount more to cover about the website itself. So because somebody asked earlier about some of the costings, I just thought I'd share out what our offering costs. So we've got a very similar monthly hosting cost of $50 per month plus GST. We do have a 2% success fee or transaction fee as well, which is very, very similar. And obviously, if people are using credit cards or merchant banking or payment gateways, then those providers have their own fee structure associated with that. Our key point of difference at this stage is that we are not putting anybody on contract. It is basically $50 a month sign up. And if after a month you decide that you don't want it, or you want to keep it running for 2 months or 3 and it's not working for you, or you want to change it, then we can do that. We've got absolutely no term contracts associated with these, which is our take on trying to take the risk out of getting online. For a small investment up front for a couple of months, you can easily see whether or not it's going to work for you long term. And if it is, you can keep investing in it. And if it's not, it hasn't been a huge upfront cost to get you going and get you selling online.
And a little bit like Zeald, there is also a package for those that are doing high volume to, I think, might even completely eliminate the transaction fee.
It does.
I'm not up to date with all the packages fully, but I have seen that there's one being added.
Yeah, we do have one package for those that are doing high volume, which is just a straight monthly fee with absolutely no transaction or success fee involved. All right.
So thanks, Anton and Chris. So you've been showing a demo site here. I see demo.homedelivery.kiwi.
Yes.
public are able to access? So if one of the participants here wanted to go and have a look to see what it looks like as a user, could they go onto that site?
You can see the demo.homedelivery.kiwi website. Yes, it is live.
Sweet.
And they can go and have a little play around as a customer.
And you can go to homedelivery.kiwi just to see the page that's there. What I just want to remind everybody is that we've got 2 domains. One of those domains is clickandcollect.kiwi. So you do pick a domain that matches what you're actually offering to your customers.
Yeah. So if you are interested in checking out the pricing and finding out a bit more about homedelivery.kiwi, you can just go to homedelivery.kiwi. We do have a website where you can purchase the platform or find out a little more about it. And of course, you are welcome to contact Acronym to ask any questions as well over the phone or via email.
And perhaps the obvious question is, if someone was wanting to do both home delivery and click and collect, how does that work?
Well, they can certainly do both home delivery and click and collect, but they'll probably only have one domain name hooked up to the website. Obviously, we would direct both domain names to one website, but there would be one primary domain name. So they would be redirected to homedelivery.kiwi or redirected to clickandcollect.kiwi, depending on what they were clicking on. Within their shipping or delivery options, they could set up both. So they could have some local deliveries or delivery options within their shipping, but they could also have a click and collect option as well. So it's more for branding purposes in terms of the domain name being click and collect or home delivery. Both are valid options for the website. You can run them both at the same time.
Sweet. Okay, so we've got a few minutes for questions. If anyone would like to pose a verbal question, there are 2 ways that you can get our attention. Well, 3, I suppose. You could write a text question. You could raise your hand. If you've never used that functionality in Zoom before, you find that under the participants button down the bottom, or wherever that is on your screen, depending on the device you're using. So you can raise your hand. Please do lower your hand afterwards if your question has been answered. And the third option, which Chris Carter demonstrated to us earlier, is one of the reaction buttons. I believe, Chris, you clapped your hands, which is also perfectly fine. And there's a raised thumb hitchhiking type symbol as well. So any of those, feel free to get our attention that way. Or you can unmute yourself and ask a verbal question. In the absence of any questions, I will certainly ask one. If the websites are going well and the number of orders are coming in for home delivery, let's be optimistic, feeling a bit overwhelmed about the home delivery space, what options are there for coordinating delivery through a third party?
At this stage, that's up to each retailer. We've been busy focusing on the platform, although there are quite a number of delivery parties and delivery organisations. I think David and Jarra have pointed out some of those, and I'm aware of a few as well that are happening. And I know that there's also some collectives going for some local shopping areas going, hey, we can do this, etc. We haven't aligned ourselves with anyone at this stage. At the moment, we're busy deploying new sites and focusing on that side of things, but there certainly is room for that kind of an option. And I think that's across the whole retail space. So it's not necessarily to be organised by a particular IT party, if you like, or provider like Zeald or ourselves, although obviously it's something that might evolve over time. And it'd be good to see that evolve, actually. I'd like to see that a lot more, especially the New Zealand-based operations and local.
Sweet. David or Jarra, I know you did mention this briefly, but where do you see that going?
So we've actually got our base systems actually integrated into a number of different dispatch systems. And so if you were to become a New Zealand Post customer, for example, they've got their e-ship component, which is fully integrated into our Zest technology and some of our others as well. So what that allows you to do is actually have your orders come through and sit within a management tool called e-ship, which allows you to allocate tracking numbers and dispatch parcels through one of those providers. So ultimately, it comes back to what Chris has said. You've got to look to first of all get a delivery partner, one of the courier companies, and then a lot of them support some of these dispatch systems which are already pre-integrated into sites. And so, yeah, picking one that has those sort of tools provides a much greater customer experience. I think if everyone's bought something from a site and then they haven't heard anything for a couple of days and you're sitting there going, what happened to my money before something arrives? You really don't want a customer to have that sort of experience because they won't buy again. So making sure that your after sale like communication strategy and dispatch notifications is very strong is critical to building up a customer base and allowing that repeat business to happen. So from my point of view, that it's such a critical part, that post-sale piece, that you've got to make sure you think it through, but ultimately it's aligning with one of those courier companies.
Fantastic, thank you. This webinar, thank you both Zeald and Acronym for your presentations. This is the first of a planned series of webinars that Massey University is planning to put on for the retail sector and other SMEs that are really wondering how they're going to get their business rebooted in the new economic reality. So coming up, and we don't have the next webinar completely locked down yet, but it's likely to be in 2 weeks' time. Same day, same time in 2 weeks. We will put up a list once they are confirmed, once speakers are confirmed and the nailed down topics. But included in there is going to be how we do the fulfillment and order processing part in the small enterprise space, the legal aspects, what you need to be paying attention to in terms of government requirements, or as Jarra mentioned, industry requirements perhaps, and various other tips to look out for in terms of the Consumer Guarantees Act, how warranties might work, how returns might work in a contactless environment, and so on. There's lots of things to be thinking about how these processes might work going forward. Some of those might be of relevance to larger retailers as well, as they're thinking through how their processes are going to change. There's going to be one on digital marketing as well. So at this point, it looks like there's probably going to be 6 webinars going forward. So do pay attention to announcements as they come out. We'll be using a number of industry partners to get the message out. ATEED, Retail X, First Retail and Retail NZ have all been promoting this, along with a number of business associations. So I'm very grateful for their support. Thank you everyone for coming along today. And if you wish to find the recording in the future, it will be mailed out. The link will be mailed out once we've found the appropriate home for it on YouTube. And we'll also let you know about the future webinars as they are confirmed. So thank you very much for your time, your eyeballs and your ears, and stay safe and go forth and prosper. And you may go if you wish. Have lunch, have a drink, go enjoy the sunshine, go surfing. You can do that now.
Thank you, Andrew.